What's going on? I'm here in Silicon Valley. It's finally started getting cold. I'm wearing long pants now, so I thought I would make another podcast episode on this Sunday. I'm just going to talk about what I found interesting over the last week. So let's get right into it. So first things first, Walmart CEO just came out saying that AI is going to change literally every job. Headcount's expected to stay flat despite the fact that they plan to grow over the next 3 years. I mean, no surprises here. Of course, AI is going to completely transform the labor market. I've been saying this for the last 10 years. Now it's actually happening. I don't know how people can be in denial of this. So yeah, just get ready. Anyways, this was really interesting. There's this humanoid robot video by Unitree G1, which is a Chinese company that they've taken investment from DJI, which is the world's largest drone company. This video is just insane. It's to the point where, honestly, the video looks AI generated to me. I didn't think it was real, but I've heard somebody say that it actually is. Not. I don't know how credible that source is, but either way, this robot you can buy for starting at $16,000. It looks really good. You go to the website, you'll see videos of it dancing, but also cracking open a walnut and flipping some bread on a pan, and then even like soldering something. What's the video of it like? Look like it's like repairing itself or something. Okay, I'm not finding the video, but yeah, this thing, I mean, super cool. I think humanoid robots, the pace of development here is just insane. I mean, it looks like this kind of thing is going to be a serious thing within the next couple years. So I mean, yeah, imagine that. Imagine having a robot in every house that can do your laundry and wash your dishes. Crazy times here. Anyways, yeah, so I've been reading this book called Breakneck. It talks about China versus the U.S. I think it's pretty interesting. The main premise of the book is that China is run by engineers. The U.S. is run by lawyers. So China just builds, the U.S. blocks. The U.S. kind of just adds a ton of regulation, lawyers suing each other, nothing gets done. I think the most egregious example of this is the California high-speed rail project, which is just complete national embarrassment. Essentially, in 2008, there was a proposal to make a high-speed rail between San Francisco and LA. It was supposed to cost $30 billion and be completed by 2020. Now it's 2025, and they've already spent $14 billion, and they haven't laid a single foot of high-speed rail. Meanwhile, in China, I think in like 3 or 4 years, they built an equivalent, a high-speed rail of equivalent length at like a fraction of the budget. So yeah, I mean, we got to step our game up. I thought this was interesting. If you look at the lawyers per capita, U.S. is among the highest in the world with 402 per 100,000. And you look at China, it's like 1/20th of that. Japan, yeah, like 1/10. It's just, yeah, it's just ridiculous. What's also funny though is if you look at Italy, they have a similar amount of lawyers per capita as us, as well as Greece. So the countries with the worst bureaucracies also happen to have the most lawyers per capita. Well, that's great. So yeah, that's interesting. And yeah, I definitely think we need more engineers and like working on our policy. It's yeah, you look at Congress, it's mostly lawyers. I mean, come on now. It's way too easy to sue people. 90+% of lawsuits are settled out of court. So most lawsuits are a money grab. We need to raise the bar there. We need to add consequences for frivolous lawsuits. For example, having to pay the fees of the other lawyer if you lose. So yeah, we need a lot of reform here, but I guess there's a lot of money to be made in suing people and adding regulations. And by the way, there's a really interesting interview on that by Jason Oppenheim, interviewed on the GrahamStephen podcast. I really enjoy this. I didn't know this Jason guy before this, but I found it super interesting. He's a real estate guy, and he talks about all the just stupid policies, particularly focused on LA. Like, for example, just having to spend like $100,000 because this government agency wanted to like he wasn't meeting some code in terms of wheelchair support, so that he had to renovate. Like they said that the parking lot or something was too sloped, so they had to. He had to spend like $100,000 to increase it 1 degree, and then just stuff, just ridiculous stuff like that. And then like the unintended consequences of like rent control, where buildings will sometimes the landlords will prefer the building to be left unoccupied because having rent controlled tenants can just make it impossible to sell, impossible to kick them out, just running at a loss. So stuff like that. There's all kinds of just inefficiency and just grift. So yeah, I mean, like the thing is, you can still believe in, like, the intentions are good. You can still believe in helping people, but just the way we're doing it is a complete failure. And there's no feedback mechanism either. When a policy fails, we don't undo it. And if anything, the government's just doubled down on it. So it's just, that's why we're in this complete mess where it's just like, what reality am I in right now? Just a complete lack of common sense. It's not left or right. It's just a lack of common sense. So yeah, that was interesting to hear from somebody like actually in the industry who's had to deal with it. I mean, in my opinion, you should be able to do whatever you want with your property. If you want to build another unit, like you want to build some studios in the backyard and Airbnb them out, I don't see why you need to get somebody else's permission for that. The U.S., it's supposed to be the land of the free, but you need to get government permission for everything, and it's ridiculous. I mean, these like the so-called communist countries, like in China and stuff, aren't even remotely this regulated, or even Japan. You got to allow more flexibility, especially when you have a homelessness crisis. Like, it should not be this hard to build and to increase the housing supply. So. Those are some of the things. Yeah, it's just like, it's ridiculous. I mean, I could call it stupid, but I realize stupid doesn't do it justice. I think it's actually, at this point, at a certain point, it's just corruption. You got to ask, like, who's actually profiting off this? Who's profiting off of homelessness, right? There are all these nonprofits that get all these billions of dollars from the government, and homelessness has just gotten worse. So what are we doing here? And there have actually been cases, like in San Francisco, of high up of leadership in these nonprofits getting convicted for what's it called, using the money, the company money for themselves, embezzlement. So yeah, we gotta do the take this stuff more seriously. We gotta be stricter on crime. I mean, it's ridiculous that that's even up for debate. I mean, I think probably we've all seen Charlie Kirk's videos, particularly after the unfortunate events that happened. But one of the things he said is, like, in Chicago, something like half of murders aren't solved. And so, I mean, if anything, we need more policing. Like, we all know that if somebody breaks into your car, or for example, my brother had his motorcycle just stolen, right? It's on some security camera footage. This happened in New York City, but police, they don't do anything. It's ridiculous. Like, if it's just, I mean, do I even need to talk about this? It's ridiculous. So, yeah, I mean, I think the left has really lost the plot. Like, the radical left has really lost the plot in many ways. I'm not trying to, it's not a left versus right thing, because the radical right is arguably worse. But I mean, Jesus Christ, what is going on? We need more common sense. It's funny. I was talking to a friend of mine who's a born and raised New Yorker, moved to Miami, and I was asking him if he would move back to New York, and he said, "No, New York's a giant ghetto." And I thought that was kind of funny, especially when you're raising a kid. Do you really want? You want to be in a safe place. You don't have to deal with all that nonsense. And I think Mom Dami, I think it's just like, I mean, well-intentioned, but I think the policies are just, a lot of them are really stupid, and they don't really address the problem. And to be fair to him, though, I do think it's, as a New York City mayor, your power is a bit limited, because ultimately, New York State, I believe, like, has the ultimate power and authority. And also, New York City is, like, weirdly positioned where it's right next to New Jersey And that's why personally, I think that whole area should be under the same jurisdiction, because it's ridiculous that you have this giant mega city and then you cross the Hudson River and it's like, it could be in any like flyover, like boring suburban US city dystopia. You gotta build more. You gotta have better public transit. It's got to be better connected, because that allows you to expand the city more and live farther away. You got to take crime more seriously. There's just so much that needs to happen. And I feel like it hasn't been solved. And so people are pissed off, but they're not trying to, but the solutions they're going for aren't going to solve it. It's just like rent control, like cool, but that's literally zero sum thinking. And that helps a certain segment of the population at the expense of everybody else. So actually you need more housing, and the city shouldn't be a giant ghetto, and you should be allowed to talk about this. Like people, like it's something like, you're not allowed to say this, but it's the reality. It's like, no matter where you are in the city, you're going to be close to a ghetto. That's what my friend was saying. And by the way, he grew up in I think in public housing as well. So he's not like some elitist. Like he's actually lived there. The ghetto is you don't want to live there. You definitely don't want your kids near there. And America has a serious culture problem. And it's like, you're not allowed to talk about it, because it's like, you're walking on eggshells talking about this stuff. But it's the reality. There shouldn't be ghettos. Like I want to repeat, this is an American phenomenon. There are no ghettos. Okay, now in Europe there are, but there are no ghettos in Asia. Like I have a couple friend here from Singapore. Like I just asked them, there's no ghettos there. There's no ghettos in Singapore, Japan, Korea. The minimum is really high. In the US, it's not like that. And when you have ghettos, you have cultures of just like degeneracy, and then it just like feeds off of itself. And we can't be having that. There's no benefit to that. We need to fix the culture. And also just in general, the US is just, we really need to, I really don't like American suburbs. I think like this car dependence, this whole thing, we need to make more better cities, like cities that don't suck. So cities that are walkable, lively, modern, thriving, alive, dynamic, constantly developing, changing. I feel like the US doesn't really have cities. It's really a shame. Honestly, if I didn't need the money, I wouldn't be living here. Because it's just, the Asian cities are just objectively better. It's not even a debate. But I live here because the job situation is better. You can make more money. You don't have that crap Asian work culture. But objectively, the Asian cities are far superior. Like I get, like, yes, we should be grateful and proud of our land, and there are positives here as well. I like the historic part of it. You don't really have that in the Bay Area, but at least on the East Coast, you've got like the historic buildings, you've got stuff like that. But we got to just call a spade for what it is. Our cities suck. We don't have good, big, modern, safe mega cities, and we should strive in that direction. I was just chatting with this the other day. Somebody I know here has a house in the suburbs, San Mateo, and they're saying they don't like the suburbs, even though they own a house here and have lived here for many years. They said like they want to live in a city like San Francisco or the countryside, not in between. By the way, I don't even think San Francisco is a city. I call that a little town. But the point is, like, the suburb is this weird in between. Okay, I get it. If you're actually close to a real city, cool, that's fine. But I don't think San Francisco is a real city. That's another topic. I think so here's what I've been thinking. If I were in charge of the San Francisco Bay Area, honestly, I would try to build a real serious mega city. Like, build that in probably somewhere on the peninsula would make sense. Maybe San Mateo, Sunnyvale, something like that. Build a real modern city that people actually want to live in. Because right now it's a bit depressing, and I think that's a big reason why there's not that many Americans living here. Because I don't think that many Americans want to live here. let alone could afford living here. But immigrants are willing to live anywhere. So yeah, let's make this place cooler. I sound very negative. There are positives. The nature is good. The weather is amazing. But yeah, I think we need to we should try to improve this thing, like turn it into a real modern place that's not just resting on its laurels and history, but actually like moving to the future. Or otherwise just move Silicon Valley to LA or somewhere more interesting. Anyways, but yeah, grateful to be here. H1B Visa thing. So yeah, that was huge news. So yeah, you probably know by now, Trump added a $100,000 per year fee to H1B visas. At first he said $100,000 per year, but then he shifted and said it's a one-time fee. Also, there's a $1 million gold card for individuals that gives you permanent residency, and also a $2 million gold card for companies. And this gold card can be transferred between employees. Now, so first of all, I'm going to say I agree that there should be a fee, right? And right now the fee is too low. Right now it costs something like $10,000, and there's this huge lottery system. If there's a lottery, then yes, increasing the fee makes sense. Now, $100,000 is probably too much, but maybe the real the real fee should be something like, I don't know, like $30,000. I don't know what it is, but I think having a fee makes sense. That being said, I think there's a lot of other reform that's needed with the H1B visa. The most obvious example being the 60-day thing, where if you're on a H1B visa, you lose your job, you only have 60 days to find another job. That's ridiculous. That's absurd. Of course, H1B visa is like an indentured servitude, if that's what it is. Increase that to a year. That's just ridiculous. Anyways, beyond that, I mean, I think it's important to think about the possible unintended consequences of this sort of like H1B visa reform, most notably potentially seeing more offshoring. We've already seen a ton of offshoring. Google has dramatically expanded their campuses in India and in Poland. I'm talking about before all this happened. I wouldn't be surprised if we see even more offshoring because of that. And I think it's important to say that there's definitely truth to the fact that I think there's credible evidence to suggest that there could be discrimination happening against Americans. I don't personally have evidence, but there are lawsuits going right now. Like, for example, Meta is being sued by a naturalized Indian citizen who claimed discrimination in the application process. So I don't think we can completely discredit it. Also, if you go to the headquarters of these top tech companies in Silicon Valley, you'll be really surprised to see how few Americans there are. I work at one of these companies. There's very few Americans. That being said, I mean, just from a population perspective, it does make sense that Americans would be in the minority just because there are 8 times as many Chinese and Indians as Americans. But even factoring that in, it is still odd how few Americans there are. We definitely, of course, we should be helping our own people. I think there's a lot more we should be doing there. I really think we should have a universal job guarantee or something more like that, we already have that in the form of the military, but having something like that where instead of training people to kill people, train people in the latest AI research and stuff like that. Don't have to pay them that much, but just having some buffer so that you're not just desperate and homeless and destitute. So I think we should have stuff like that. But at the same time, I totally lost my train of thought, honestly. Anyways, yeah, discrimination, it could be happening. We should help Americans, but at the same time, we benefit from being a place where people want to live and where anybody can live and realize or chase the American dream and having the best talent in the world. And there's this concept of the special economic zone, which a country like China had, where they turned Hong Kong into a special economic zone where they allowed free trade and all that stuff that wasn't allowed in China. And then Hong Kong really thrived and was really successful because of that. And I think having something like that in Silicon Valley absolutely makes sense. Why shouldn't the top tech companies in the world here be able to hire the best and the brightest? I think, yes, there are winners and losers when it comes to immigration, but overall, the country benefits. And so long as we distribute the proceeds of those benefits to those quote unquote losers as well, then ultimately it's a net benefit. And once you start making it harder to immigrate and you start screwing people over, all of a sudden making a big change that causes people to book a $8,000 flight back home because they're afraid that they're going to be locked out of the country, you're really screwing with people and you're making the U.S. less attractive as a place to live, which even before all this, Trump has been doing. I mean, no matter what you think about him, he's not making it a friendly place to want to immigrate. Yes, I totally agree with stopping illegal immigration, but I do think we should make it easier for qualified people to legally immigrate as well. We all benefit from that. And most of our companies, our top companies and most the people who've created the most jobs and all that stuff are immigrants. Elon Musk, CEOs of like Google, Sundar Pichai, Microsoft as well. I mean, the list goes on. NVIDIA, right? Jensen Huang. The list goes on and on. We should keep that. We should want to keep that. But yeah, again, at the same time, just help out the people who are not going to be able to compete and who are going to be left out. Because yes, there are absolutely losers when it comes to this game. It's unfortunate, but ultimately, if we can all benefit, great. And even just to give like a more micro example, yeah, I mean, just think about, for example, a lot of the landscapers were honestly illegal immigrants from Mexico, or the people doing like those kind of work. But if they do it, if you can hire somebody for $10,000 to do it when an American is charging $20,000, then most people are going to hire the cheaper person. And yes, that American charging the $20,000 absolutely loses out. But with that money that you save, you can then go invest that in the economy, and then ultimately the other person should ideally be able to benefit, but ultimately through the tax revenue and all that stuff, then we can help out that person, that American who lost their job. Okay, this sounds ridiculous. I don't think I'm explaining this well, but yeah, point is, I think we can help Americans while also being attracting the best and the brightest, and have it be a win-win situation. So we need to address both of those. I don't think we're taking both seriously enough. And yeah, I mean, obviously, like discrimination against Americans obviously shouldn't be allowed. And I do think there should be more scrutiny on that if a company is passing up an American for an immigrant. I do think maybe they should have to report what the profile was of the American they passed up, and then the foreigner. I don't know. Like, but at the same time, it could be a slippery slope into like too much regulation stuff. So I'm not gonna, but the point is like no discrimination, but win-win. Let's get the best and brightest while also helping everybody make it so that the rising tide lifts all boats, instead of just like hoping that it happens, actually actively making sure that it happens. Okay. What else was I going to talk about? Elon Musk firing people over tweets. So yeah, another person tweeted something and was fired over it. I don't think he should have been fired for that. I think this guy fires way too easily. It almost seems kind of petty. And I talked to somebody who works at one of those companies who said that, yeah, he just like fires people really easily. That's a whole topic. I'm not going to get into that now. Bill Mahr was a clip of him went viral because he was saying that, well, there's a genocide against Christians in Nigeria going on right now. Why is that not getting more attention when Palestine, for example, is getting all this attention? I hadn't even heard of this. So I kind of looked into it, and actually it's pretty horrifying what's happening in Nigeria. We're talking about like many, many thousands of just innocent people being targeted because they're Christian and getting murdered senselessly and by like extremist Muslim terrorist groups. This is ridiculous. Yeah, I think this kind of thing should get more attention. And I do feel like there's this weird thing where if there's something bad happening to Christians or white people or something, it doesn't really get that much attention, I feel like, relative to the opposite. And then it's, if it's like Palestine or something happening against Muslim people or black people or whatever minority, then it gets a lot more attention than the reverse. And I think that's very odd. I think we should, I think that hints at some strange things that's really difficult to talk about. But yeah, I'm not going to get into that. This is already pretty long. I thought this was pretty interesting. Somebody made they took their apartment and then turned it, made it into like a 3D environment out of it, kind of vibe coding this, and then you can kind of like walk around your own apartment. That's pretty cool. I want to do the same thing. I might do this as a little side thing. But yeah, those are kind of the things that I thought were interesting. What are my goals for this week? Honestly, just crush it at work. I really think right now, I really do think AI is wreaking havoc on the job market. I think in 5 years, I don't know if it's really going to be that realistic to get a job, or like jobs will exist, but I think I could totally see it becoming more and more competitive. And I don't have faith in the government in accommodating the masses that are displaced by it. So I think now is kind of the time to make money, because you don't know how long that money spigot's going to be. So yeah, just, if there's one thing I've learned in my career, it's that I think I used to have this idea that if you just mastered something, then you're going to be good for life. But I don't think that's true unless you're in like a really regulated field like medicine or something like that, where you're protected by the law in a way, or the regulations, like the certifications. If you're a software engineer, you got to assume that whatever you're learning is probably going to get automated away. I think like the Walmart CEO said, there's not a single job that's not going to be affected by this. So the only constant here is change. So I would say, I'm not saying to chase every hype train, but definitely don't get too comfortable. And like the era of the chill job is absolutely over. Like this is something that I personally experienced. It's a big reason why I went from being this digital nomad, traveling around the world, living everywhere, to moving back to the US, to Silicon Valley of all places. I thought that was the most boring place in the world. I never wanted to live there. I moved here because I realized like, okay, AI is changing everything. I gotta be here. Not that I have to be here specifically. Actually, I think New York would probably be more fun, although, what's going on there? But just being at the forefront, I feel is the least risky option. Get your bag, and who knows what's going to happen? And let's try to make the world a better place. And like when we see all this grift and corruption and inefficiency going on in government or wherever else, to actually stand up for it. Because at the end of the day, we live in a democracy. So this is our system. You have a voice. I have a voice. You're listening to it. Let's make the world a better place. I'm out. Peace. Beautiful, beautiful outro. Whew.